Hey Robin, everybody loves the Drake fans. There's the Drake right there in one of his short-lived costumes here. Where Rob and I are going to be recording a podcast today talking about Lonely Place of Living Part 1, which is kind of the Tim Drake origin retold going back to the old origin. And I wanted to do a little 5-minute review here on Teen Titans Zero, which came out part of the New 52 back in, it's got the date here of November 2012. And this was a total redo of Tim Drake's origin. And when the New 52 happened, I think it had been out for about a year, the New 52 at this point, and we kind of didn't really quite know all about Red Robin and what had changed and what hadn't. And this issue was written by Scott Lobdell, art by Brett Booth, and Norm Rapham doing the inks. And the best thing about this issue is the art. The art is great. I love Brett Booth's art. I love Norm Rapham's inks on it. The art is great. The story, not so much. I'll try to be kind, but gosh, what happened? Well, in the New 52, I think there was a lot of let's change it just to change it, and not really thought out of like, is this really good, and does this hold true to what the character is about? And a lot of the changes, they just weren't as good as the original. So why make a change if the change is not as good? And also it kind of undermined what these characters really were and who they were and why we liked them. And a lot of the readers, like myself, who had been reading for a while, gave up on the New 52. I eventually stopped buying any New 52 books. And I believe that's DC responded to that with the rebirth, and got the new logo, new everything. And so let's take a look, and I'll try not to be too harsh on this book, even though I hate it with a passion. And afterwards, I'll be burning it. No, just kidding. I won't burn it. But all right off the bat, I was upset here because we've got Tim Drake, and he's doing like gymnastics. And so I'm thinking, are they changing his origin with Dick Grayson's? Because Dick Grayson is the acrobat. And look at those muscles on Tim. It's a little bit too much. And Batman's telling the story, so you can see a little bat symbol in the wording there. And I don't know, the dialogue, it just doesn't sound like The Dark Knight. It just doesn't sound like Batman. Scott Lobdell just, sorry dude, I just don't think he did a good job, and it doesn't sound like Batman. And then we see that this is pre Red Robin, and Tim Drake is like the stunner, amazing athlete at school in gymnastics, and that right there is a change from his origin, because in his origin it was his brain. He was a genius, and he becomes Robin, and then he's got to really work on the athletic skills, and he's not as athletic as Dick Grayson or even Jason Todd or Damian Wayne, but it's his brain and his determination after he becomes Robin to mold himself into a great athlete and a great fighter. So this is very different. And then this is where it really starts diverting. We've got the parents. There are the Drakes holding signs pointing out that they're proud parents, which is just kind of ridiculous. But also, at the same point, another total deviation from the origin. Because in the origin, Tim Drake's kind of a rich boy, and his parents are kind of too busy for him. They're so caught up in the high society of Gotham and business and making money that they're not there for him. They're not holding up proud parent signs. So then it becomes this dilemma in Robin that we see that when Mrs. Drake dies and Jack Drake is paralyzed, and Jack says, "I'm going to spend more time with you, Tim. I'm going to be there for you, Tim." It becomes this dilemma of, gosh, this is what Tim always wanted, but now he's Robin and he doesn't need his dad poking around all the time. And it just kind of was a great story beat, which is completely erased here. Thank you, New 52. So then we get a little bit here. Tim, is getting praise from his classmates, and he says, "Oh, those Olympic scouts will be here next week," which I don't think there are scouts for the Olympics. There's scouts for pro teams. And then we've got the Drakes, complete opposite. And if you notice, they're like the way they're dressed, they're very working class, middle class. And we see let's go back here. Where is it? There's two old guys right here peeking. And then we see the two old guys getting into the car. And then Tim says, "Oh, I can't hang out with your parents. I got to go. There's this project I'm working on." And they're kind of, "Oh boy." All right. So anyway, turns out that old guy was just a disguise. It was Batman, who can't wait more than 12 seconds to get out of his disguise. And oh, hey, Alfred was wearing a disguise because, like everyone knows Alfred, right? Got to disguise him. And, what a disguise for an old guy. Be another old guy. And so then there's some very un-Batman dialogue here. And basically, Alfred has basically somehow figured out, Tim Drake has figured out, trying to figure out Batman. Yeah, I know. And Alfred is trying to tell Batman that this would be a great, Tim would be a great replacement for Jason, who has died, and Batman's all brooding, and, it's just not going to happen. And he says, I can't do it because of these people, the Drakes. He says, Tim has something that Jason and him and Dick never had, a family, and he's not going to call up those, Drakes in the middle of the night and tell them their son is dead. So then we get Tim. He comes home and his dad's, gives him this weird message. This is just kind of a lot of panels for nothing. Basically, his dad saying, oh, someday you're going to have to be more than just this family, just this little, it says, a quiet house on a quiet street, where in the pre-New 52, Tim was living in a, what you would call it, a giant mansion next to Wayne Manor. And then Tim goes out on his motorcycle. No Redbird. How sad. In the original Lonely Place of Dying, it was so quaint that Tim had this bicycle and he was pedaling around, and now they've replaced it with a some kind of moped motorcycle thing, which just terrible. Then we get to this aviary, which is just kind of over the top, which Tim thinks is this guy, Batman, thinks it's Batman's secret hideout, but it was really just clues that Batman purposely left to try to trick Tim into thinking it was the hideout. So then Batman goes there and tells him that, but then I don't know, there's some very un-Batman like dialogue, and Batman's very wordy. Look, he says that, he says this, he says this, he says this, he says this, he says all this, just to tell him to go home. This meeting's over. And it just seems very un-Batman like. It just seems odd. And right away Tim is like, I want to be your new partner. See, I'm the new help. I'm the new partner, which also is a complete change from pre-New 52, where Tim didn't think about being the new Robin. His goal was to get Dick Grayson to go back to being Robin, thinking Batman needs a Robin. So right away, he's just totally on, hey, I'm going to be the new partner. And then he keeps digging, keeps hacking, which just is, I don't know, it's just boring here. And then Batman leaves him messages on chat rooms and stuff telling him to not do this. And then somehow, here's where it gets really stupid. Tim steals $100 million from Oswald Cobblepot, which somehow Alfred knows about before Batman, and doesn't call him to tell him, waits till he comes with the Batmobile, and then tells him don't get out of the Batmobile to go save Tim, because Tim had done this on purpose to give the money to the poor, but also to get Batman to come save him, because he knew people would come to try to kill him. And so luckily they think Tim is a milk jug and shoot the milk jug instead of Tim, which then Batman comes in to save him and says, don't insult either one of us by pretending you weren't expecting me, right? And he says, so what's the plan? And then the plan was here. You created this mess. So it's just, I don't know, it's just dumb. And so then here are the Drakes, and they survive. And Batman says he pulls every string he knows in the Justice Department, which, how does Batman know people in the Justice Department? I don't know. And look at all the stuff Batman says. It's so wordy. And the Drakes are then put into the Witness Relocation Program, which is something I'm glad, because I hated the way in Identity Crisis Jack Drake died. I just thought that was just awful, and it was not done. And if anyone would have the right to kill Tim Drake's father, it would have been Chuck Dixon and Denny O'Neil, and to just give it to a writer who'd never written comics before, it just seemed cheap. And I never liked that Mrs. Drake died either. I thought it would have been cool if Tim had both his parents. So this was the one New 52 reboot of Tim's origin that I did like was that the Drakes were still alive, and we did get to see them in Batman and Robin Eternal miniseries in the Witness Relocation Program. That was kind of cool. And so then Batman takes partner, but then here's where it gets it's just so the Drakes say goodbye. Batman's getting ready to go, and they're in the Batcave, and they've got the bat suit ready, or not the bat suit, the Robin suit ready. And Tim says, "Nope, I am not going to ever be Robin. I am Red Robin, partner." And so he is Red Robin. Never once Robin. How sad. And they never explain where Red Robin came from. Like, why not Green Robin or Purple Robin or Robin or Robin 3 or something else or Sparrow or anything or Hood. All right. It's just Red Robin. It's just no explanation for it. But it did put him in that like 1 year later costume, which was kind of cool. And so that's where we went with the Teen Titans. And somehow he gets this unrealistic outfit, which I always just absolutely hated those bird wings on it. So that's about that. The best thing in this book, I would have to say, was the ad for Amethyst, which, oddly enough, that was a great series. I bought that. And even better is Jim Lee's Before Watchmen art. Seeing Jim Lee draw the Watchmen here, oh my gosh, that is so good. So good. But anyways, it would have been nice if he had actually done one of the books instead of just an ad. But gosh, which book would Jim Lee have been? A Jim Lee Rorschach book? Oh, that would have been great. He even makes the comedian look cool. Ozymandias, who looks so stupid, looks cool. I mean, they all look cool. He just needed to do a book. Anyway, so I don't know what to tell you about this book. If you want to have a book burning party anytime and get our collections of Teen Titans Zero together and burn them, just send me a comment and let's do that. But luckily, this is now not in continuity anymore. This is just a little blip on the radar. Lonely Place of Living has said this doesn't exist. I don't know what happened. Superboy Prime punched the walls of the universe. I think my feeling is, where is he? That Dr. Manhattan. Uh-oh, am I going the right way or the wrong way? There he is. I think Dr. Manhattan read this book. Look how angry he is. This is when he read the book, and he just retconned the whole universe and changed it for us. So thank you, Dr. Manhattan. Thank you, Mr. Oz. Whoever did this, thank you. And that's it for me. Talk to you next time. Like, subscribe, comment below, do a little dance, do all that fun stuff. All right, talk to you later. Bye.